Hello there and welcome to Coding Studio. This is B, and today we are going to be doing some problem solving. This is going to be part of the JavaScript Basics tutorials which I made. If you watch the videos, you should know almost everything I'm going to be using in this video: functions, arrays, objects and whatnot. And I'm making this video so that you can see how to use those sort of stuff in a somewhat practical way. This is great for practice. I recommend this site. It's called Code Wars, where there are a lot of exercises varying in hardness or difficulty, so you can practice in almost any programming language there is. We are going to be, of course, focusing on JavaScript. 8Q is the easiest, 1Q is the hardest, and in this video we are going to do an 8Q1, a 7Q1 and a 6Q1. So let's start with this one. I've already put it in my IDE. So the first task is that we have a distance to the next fuel pump, our mileage and how much fuel we have left, and we have to calculate if we will get to the next fuel pump. Right here in the description there is an easy example that the next pump is 50 miles away. We have 2 gallons left and our car eats about 25 miles per gallon. So this is a relatively easy one. So we basically divide the distance to the pump with our mileage, which is mpg, and if we take that distance to the pump is 50 and it's 25 miles per gallon, that means we have to have at least 2 gallons of fuel left to make it there. So this number has to be smaller or equal to our fuel left. So we can make it a bit more readable, but if we were to just return this, we should be fine. But for readability, I'm gonna say that min fuel needed equals to distance divided by mpg, semicolon, and then will I make it equals to min fuel needed is smaller or equal to our fuel left, which means if we have 50 miles left and it eats 25, then minimum fuel needed is 2, and if we have 2 fuel, then we will make it, and this is a function. And of course, to finish the function, if you watch the functions video, all we need to do is return this value. Will I make it? This is either going to be true or false. We can test it for ourselves real quickly. We call the function, and let's say we 50 miles left, it eats 25, and we have 2. And I'm gonna log it out to the console so we can see it. Console.log, save it, and then when we run the code, we should see it true. Yes, we can. But let's test this code on Code Wars. I'm just gonna copy paste my solution into the web page right here and see if the test gives back positive for me. It does. It goes for the second test case was 151, which is false, and we did give back false to that, as you can can see. So our function works perfectly. On to the next one. This is going to be this one. This is a bit harder, but not too much. Here it is. We have a triangle of consecutive odd numbers: 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19. As you can see, it goes down like that, and we have to write a function that we get a row, and we have to add all the numbers in that row together. So for that, what I think is that we need to see which row. So we need to know that what numbers are in that row. So what I'm going to do is write a small function that can determine that the row we are looking for has a certain number. So what I'm planning to do is I'm going to write a for loop, and I'm going to write a separate function for it. Function what should I call it? Let's call it nth row element, let's say. This is not the best naming, but I cannot think of a better one than that. And what it's gonna do is it gets a row number, so basically the same as this one. It gets a row number. I'm going to write a for loop that for let I equal 0 this time, and I is smaller than our nth value, or n value, and I plus plus. And then I need to keep track of where am I. So I'm going to say that nth, I'm going to declare it nth equals 0. So inside this for loop, as soon as it doesn't reach that row, we are going to say that nth plus equals I plus 1, because this is going to be a odd number, so we will have to add that one always. I mean, it doesn't matter. So what this does is goes down, and let's say I, in the first round I is 0, so nth will equal 1, and the last element of the first row is 1. And if I is 2, then first we are going to get to that 1, so this will change to 1, and in the second round it will be 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. We are going to add that to our number, and 1 plus, oh my god, it's so hard to explain for loops. Well, it's going to be 3, and we found the row we were looking for. So this is going to find us the number in that row. And for our next function, what I want to do is want to find the nth how do you call it? The nth odd number function. Find the nth odd number, which means that if I type 6 in here, then it's going to go find the sixth odd number, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is 11. And this is a key function, and it's fairly simple. So it gets an n value here, and it's gonna do is it's gonna return for me 1 plus n times 2. That 1 is required because it's gonna be an odd number and we are multiplying with 2, so it's gonna be odd, which means that if I type in here 1, then it will find a 3 for me, so I actually have to subtract 1 from here. Well, actually not there, but before I use the n, so conveniently I'm just gonna put it here. So which means if I type in 1, so find the first odd number, then 1 plus 0 times 2 is 1, so the first one is of course 1. If I type in 2, 2 times 2 is 4, but remember that it subtracts 1, so 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3, and so the second odd number is 3. So that's how it's gonna work. And yes, I almost forgot, here we just have to return the nth here. So with this we can already write our function, and this is gonna be another for loop, and we will have to return the sum of the numbers in the row. So I'm just gonna declare a sum variable, let sum equals 0. We are gonna add the values here later. We're gonna write a for loop for let I equals 0. I is smaller than n, this time. And I plus plus 2. Always add 1 at the end of the iteration. And in here what we're going to do is add the sum, so sum plus equals, and we're going to use the find the nth odd number, find the nth odd number, and in here we are going to need the nth odd number, so based on the row selector we're just going to pass that function in here. I'm going to do it like this so you can see it better, and nth row element, and we are going to pass in nth row element n, and we are going to subtract 1 here. I don't know if it was understandable at all, but let's test if our function works. Row sum of numbers, and we're gonna pass, here we have 3, 5 equals 8, 2, let's see if it works with 2. Run our function, and we have to log it to the console to see it. Console.log, let's do that, and it's undefined because we are not returning sum. I forgot that. I forgot that a lot. Forget that a lot. So return sum. And let's try again. Cross our fingers. And it's 6, which is not the one I was looking for. But why isn't it? Okay. Oh, sorry. Because it's what? So we need that there. What am I doing wrong? No, it should be n. Okay, let's test our function piece by piece. Let's console.log nth row element put in 2, and what I'm expecting to find is either 3, I think it should be 3, yes, it is 3, so that does work, because I'm looking for the second row's last piece, which means that I'm looking for this. I'm always looking for the end of this, and 3 is 1, 2, 3, so that's the nth element of that. If I were to put in 3 here, I should get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I get 6, so that function works perfectly. It will find the odd numbers, so there is no problem there. Find the nth odd number. I shouldn't subtract 3. Why? 10. Why doesn't it work? Hold on a second, I gotta debug. I'm gonna pause it. Did I? Okay, I'm sorry, I found my problem. I subtracted 1 every time, and I shouldn't have. I should have subtracted I here. The reason for that is because when I find the last element of the row, what I do is I go from here to here, which means that I'm gonna add 19 to the sum, or in this case 5 to the sum, and then 3 to the sum. And to do that, I actually have to subtract I, not 1. So, because at the first round I is 0, so I add the 19. The second time I is 1, so I subtract this. Then I go from here to here, which is 2 step, if you guess. So here this negative represents the step from this point. And first round it should be this, second round it should be 2, third round it should be 3. And I always jump back 1. And that's why I got the wrong answer. It's a pretty silly mistake, but it happens, so don't be discouraged if something like this happens. So if I run this now, I should get 8, and if I were to put 3 in here and run it, I got 27. Let's check that. 1, 2, 3, third row, 11 plus 9 is 20, plus 7 is 27, so this is in fact correct. But let's check it with the web page. I'm in the CodeWars web page. We go here, we paste in our solution and test it. And it does work. Let's see a bit more tests. And it works all the time. As you can see, CodeWars tends to test with pretty big numbers too, and a lot of test cases. So most of the time it won't be enough to use these 2 test cases. So this is our answer to the second one. I know it can get confusing, especially if you're watching it right after the tutorial videos, but I encourage you to practice on a lot of 8Q ones, and after that step up to the 7Q and practice, because coding isn't just plain knowledge. Sometimes you have to experience failures over and over again to actually learn a new thing or an approach of how to solve a problem. And I just realized, but in this video I'm also teaching you about single responsibility principle, which is that one function should do one thing. So here I find the nth element which I need to start from. Here I find the nth odd number, and here I work with them in a for loop to find the sum. And in this exercise, which is our last one today, this is gonna be even clearer. It's a bit more difficult, but don't be afraid. I'm gonna be using array methods in it, and I'll be sure to link the documentations into the video description if you will need them. Okay, so let's go to our third one. I'm gonna delete this so it won't bother me next time. Our third exercise is a little difficult but not undoable. So here we will get a string, and then we have to filter out the duplications. So if I were to have ADA, I would have to work with AD because A would be a duplicate. So we have to get those out from the string value, and then we have to turn them into ASCII codes, and this is not yet ASCII. So ASCII code is for A, I think it's 97, and when we so we turn it to ASCII, which is 97, and then we turn it into binary, which is gonna be this here. And after we turn them to binary, what we have to do is check if there are more zeros than ones, and if there are more zeros we keep them, and if not we throw them away. In this case A, B, C, D, C would be a false because there are more ones than zeros. So as you can see in the output, C won't be there. And after we have done that, we have to turn the stuff back to a normal string value and return it as an array. So for that, what I would start with is we are going to write a function. Let's use function expression this time. So we create a function. I'm going to call it split and filter input. This is going to get an input, a string input, and since we're using an expression, don't forget the equal sign. So we will get a string input, and what we are going to do with that string input is we grab it, we are going to split it. Now splitting is a method on strings that if you give it a certain character in here, then it will find that character and replace it. I will show you next time. For example, if we give it dot, let's just see string input. Okay, dot split, and we are going to split it at the dot character. We call it that. Split. And if it finds a dot character, it will split it. This is just for demonstration this time. So let's say split and filter output, and I give it a string value like 1.2.3.4.5.6, and if I run it, we get back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it takes out the dots. So that's that. I'm gonna delete this, and what we need now is string input, and we want to split it at nothing. What that means, it will separate every single character in the string input, and that's what we need right now. And after we split it, we sort of have to check if there are any duplications. So there are two same characters, that's not good. We want to keep the first one and throw away the second one. And now comes an array method, because from this point on you can think of this as an array. Let's just save it. Let character array equal this. And now we want to filter this character array, so character array equals, because filter returns a new array but doesn't change the first one, dot filter, this is an array method, and here we have to give it a function. Now the filter works in a way that you give it a condition for each element, character. So this character is, if you remember in the loop videos I talked about for each, where this represents the first element of an array or the nth element of an array. This is the same, so it's DIET, so it does the same for all characters, and here we give it a condition. If it's false, then it will not get saved. If it's true, it will. Now we can play around with that, because if it returns true, it puts into the array. If it's false, it does not. So the point is, it should either return true or false. Other than that, we can do anything we want. So how to check if there is already a character like that in our array? The way I would go about it in this case is I would create an object. I would call it temp, tmp equals, and I will make it empty for now. We are going to fill it. So let's say if, and here comes the condition, if tmp, then I'm going to use this. If you remember from the object video, I can access certain keys in an object this way, and I just put in character, and that's about it in this if statement. Now what this checks is, for example, let's say our character this time is D, and you can imagine this as this. And as you can see, it doesn't have that right now, and we will get back to it later. So character, oh sorry, yep. Now what it checks if this thing exists at all or not. Sorry, I am a bit tired. If it doesn't exist, I mean, if it does exist, that's not good for us in this case. I will tell you why right now. In the else, what we are going to do is return true, because if it doesn't exist, that means there is no duplicacy here, and we are going to make tmp character equal to 1, or anything really, of course, before we return something. What this does is, if D doesn't exist in this object, it's going to return true and create D for us. So the next time it finds D, D will exist, and this will simply return false, because we don't want duplications. This is a very simple way of filtering if you have duplications or not. So just to run through one more time. So let's say we had let's say this is D now. Temp doesn't have a D key yet, so it will go to the else. It will create D equals 1 for us. Let's put it in just for demonstration here. So it will check it, it creates it for us, returns true, goes to the next element, because this is a loop if you remember, and our next element is D again. Now this time it will find D, because it's already here, and return false. So in our character array we will only have D once, and the first occurrence of it. I hope that was clear. If it wasn't, try to play around with it and and you will try to experience it, log out a few stuff, and you will find out why. What's why. Am I recording? Yes, I am. Okay. So, just to show you how it works, I'm gonna run this split and filter input, and I'm gonna put in A, B, C, A, B. So, since we are filtering out all the duplications, what we should get back is ABC, because the next AB won't get back into the thing, into the array. But first we do have to return our character array, or else we won't see anything. So after this, we just return character array, which is now filtered. And I didn't console log it. I tend to forget that. Console.log. And let's see. ABC. We don't have the AB at the end anymore because it filtered it out for us. Good. So the first problem is solved, that there is no keeping the first occurrence of any such duplicates in the same order, and removed any duplicate characters. So we successfully did that. Our next thing should be, let's say we do that. What does this say? Which will contain one of the characters from blah 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 blah. Okay, so the next one should be to turn a character into a binary, or first an ASCII and then a binary. So we are gonna create this in one fell swoop. Okay, I forgot a lot of expressions. I apologize. Please overlook it this time. Okay, we are gonna create a function again. Const string to binary. This is a very nice function name, and that equals to a function, and here we get a string input. And with that string input, what we are going to do is first we grab the string input, and then we turn it to a ASCII, which is not that hard, because there is a string method that you can do in JavaScript, which is char-codet or car-codet. Code at, I am not sure. Well, I hope it works. And that should turn our string input into ASCII, but let's test that because I am very not sure. We are going to log it out. Okay, and call this function string to binary, and let's go with A, and I think it's 97, and it is. Okay, so it does work. So this one turns our string to its ASCII character code, which is 97 in this case, and then what we are going to do is going to turn it to a binary, which is very simple. In JavaScript we are going to use the toString method, and what it would do if the parentheses are left empty is to turn anything into a string, so a number, or a number to string. But if I write 2 in here, that means that I want it binary. You can check out the documentation on toString, because I'm not too sure, because I only ever used it either for binary conversion or to convert a number to string. but let's see if it works. It should work actually. String to binary A. It should match this one because A B C D E, A B C D E. So it should match that one. Let's see. 11401. Okay, it does match. Only thing we have left to do is this one. Return. So right now we have converted this to binary, and now what we have to check is if there are more zeros than ones. That's fairly easy. We are going to create a function for it. That's what I said. That's why I said that this is going to be a great representation of single responsibility principle, and you should follow it because it's readable. So when we get to the final function, you will know what happens in there. So has more zeros, which is a function, and we get a binary as a string. So I'm gonna call it binary string. You can call it anything, ABC, whatever. And in here, what I'm gonna do is actually pretty simple. I know for a fact that if I turn the ASCII codes into binaries, I'm always gonna get a 7 character long binary code. So what I'm gonna do is I am gonna simply take out all the zeros or ones. I'm just gonna take out the zeros and check if they are bigger or smaller than 3. Because if I take out the zeros and there is 3 ones left, that means that there was 4 zeros, so it did have more zeros than ones. And the way I will do that is binary string dot replace. This is another string method, and what I want to do is replace all the zeros with nothing. Now this wouldn't work right away because replace only replaces the first character it finds. So we would have to use a regular expression. You don't have to learn that. You can always find everything on Stack Overflow you need. But for a simple thing like this, you can learn this because it's easy. You do 2 forward slashes, and inside the forward slash you put the character you are looking for, which is a 0 this time. And the G after the last slash means that global, that it should look for in the whole word. So look for the 0 character, the whole word. And if you would put an I at the end of it, which is completely unnecessary in this case, that would mean that capital and lowercase letters, but we don't need that now. So what it does is simply replaces the zeros with nothing, and I want to console log that out just to see if it actually works, and run call the function, and I'm just gonna paste in this. It has 3 ones and 4 zeros, so theoretically we should get back 3 ones, and we did. So that's pretty easy. What I'm gonna make is, since I called it has more zeros, it's gonna return a boolean. So if the word has more zeros, it's gonna be true. If not, it's gonna be false, which means that if the length of this, the string also have a length property, and we know that only ones are left, so dot length. In the previous case it would be 3 because there's 3 ones. So if this value is smaller, smaller equal to 3, then what it means, this value is bigger equal to 3, that means it doesn't have more. Yeah, we have to use the other one, this. So if 3 is bigger or equal to binary thingy, then we are cool, because that means that there are 3 ones tops, which means that this is true, which means it does have more zeros, so we can just return that, because this evaluates to a boolean, which is either true or false. But let's check it with the previous example. It should give back true. Has more zeros. Let's see. Come on, I have to console log it again. Why do I always forget that? It's true, it does have more zeros, and let's see if I were to change 0 to 1. It should be false. Perfect, it works as intended. So we now have actually everything. We can validate, we can filter, we can convert. So let's jump into the main thing. So what I would do is, so first split and filter the input. So let filtered input equals split and filter input, and what we are going to give here as an argument is what we get here, so S. And now filtered input is an array containing the filtered input. And after that, when we have the filtered input, now comes, I'm gonna filter it again. I'm gonna use filter, and I'm gonna make it equal to itself again, just as we saw it before. Filtered input equals filtered input dot filter. Yeah, I know. And as a callback function here, what we are gonna do is very simple. I'm gonna say char. What we are gonna do here is we are gonna convert it to binary, so string to binary char, and actually now what it does, it turns it to a binary, right? We can check right away if it has more zeros or not, right? So has more zeros. So basically for every character it's turning it to a binary and checking it right away if it has more zeros. And if you remember how filter works, it based on if it's true or false, it puts them into an array. So we do not have to do anything else in here, just see if it's true or false. So in reality we don't even need these curly brackets. What did I do? I didn't intend that. So we come back here, and we don't even need these curlies because we can just return this true or false that it gives back to us. And this way, filtered input will already contain the final array we need, which only contains the characters that, if turned into binaries, have more zeros than ones. So we are basically done. All we have to do is return return filtered input. And if you notice, why do we have to do this? We actually don't. We can actually just grab this one and return it. And then we don't need this line at all, because this is basically just saving it into a variable, but we don't have to save it because we can just return it right away. So we don't need this line at all. And while we are at it, the filtered input is simply equals to split and filter input, so we can just copy this and actually replace filtered input with that. And from that point on, we don't even need this line. So this is pretty straightforward, but let's check if it actually works, because I'm not sure at this point. I just really hope so. And we are gonna console log it actually. Console.log. And let's give it the same input as this digest. Let's see. It would give us back diet in an array format. What happened here? So let's cross our fingers and pray. Diet. It works perfectly. Very good. Now let's copy our solution. Control C and go back here. We just insert it here. This is very nice, readable code. Run test. Bam, it worked. Now if we were to press attempt, it wouldn't work perfectly. There would be a lot of test cases where it fails, and we are not gonna worry about that now, because it only fails on numbers, because apparently this not the toString, either the toString or the character code of numbers to ASCII doesn't work the same with letters and numbers. So as you can see here, it expected that after the X it's only a 0, but in our case we instead gave it after the X 12480, which was not good. And I checked it already, and we break on the numbers and apparently the special characters. So we would have to write exceptions for them, or escapes, but if it's actually about normal strings without numbers, capital or lowercase letters, like this, no number, no special character, then we should be fine with this. I think that's all I wanted to show you in this video. This is gonna go up to the GitHub repository. I'm gonna clean up the file. So I'm gonna put it closer together, and I will put some explanations next to lines. What am I doing and why? And it's gonna go up, and it's gonna be inside the JavaScript folder in the problem solving folder, and this is gonna be problem solving 1. So we can just, yep, and yep, it's nice now. And maybe you wanna learn some Git as well. I'm gonna push it as it is, and later on I'm gonna add the descriptions on the lines. But so that you know how to use Git, I'm gonna git add dot, which means add everything that's new. It did. Git commit -m, and commit is basically after we staged the files, we are committing to those changes, so we are pushing them up, and the -m means that after this inside quotation marks we can give a description of what changed. Basically, this is a commit message. M stands for message in this case. Problem solving, well actually, no, I'm gonna say JS problem solving 1. This is gonna be descriptive enough for me, and I committed. As you can see, I did get some messages here. Yeah, because it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna push it to the remote. Git push. Okay, I pushed it. Perfect. Yeah, I know, I used the wrong password there. So thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this problem solving video, I would be glad if you left a like. Thank you. Bye.